Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday, and I think it's time. I think it's time for another mock draft. I think it's time for another Seattle Seahawk full 7 round mock draft. We now have additional clarity on the draft thanks to the combine and thanks to the decision the team made in recent days to extend Geno Smith to a long term deal. So, with those two things in mind, we can now hone in on better, more realistic, and I guess you could say in a way more promising mock drafts, more meaningful mock drafts might be the best way to put it. I don't know. So this is mock draft 4.0 on this channel. This is my fourth attempt, and as always, we're going to try to mix it up. Obviously, as we move closer to the draft, we have more information so I can be more educated with my picks. But at the same time, I can also try to change things up from the early mock drafts. The first two mock drafts were basically get one of the blue chip defenders at the very top of the draft and then build around them. The third mock draft was the quarterback at number 5 draft. Now that we've re signed Geno, I think the odds of the QB at 5 draft have gone down, although I do want to say it's not zero. I firmly believe it is within the realm of possibility that this team, if the opportunity is there, looks at a quarterback at number 5 and goes, you know what? Geno might only be here for another couple years. He might only be here another 1 year. Let's get the next great Seahawks quarterback. I think that's possible, but it is less likely than it was before. So with that being said, I'm going to mix it up this time. We're going to try to look at the draft a little bit differently. We now know we're not going to trade Geno. We now know that in all likelihood, we're not keeping Drew Lock as well, so we have to look at things through that lens as we look at this draft. And with all that in mind, I am opening up the draft with something that I haven't done yet, but it was time to finally unveil it. We are trading down. This is a very realistic scenario in this draft. This is very possible, so it's time I have at least one mock draft where we do it. And there are many different ways we can trade down. In this particular mock, here's what I did. I traded our 5th overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. I got their first round pick, which is number 11 overall, so I have moved back 6 spots in the draft. And I think that this is a little bit easier to digest because of the Jalen Carter legal issues, which I do think are a significant deal. So we're starting there, and we're picking up a 3rd round pick and a future first rounder in that. If you look at the draft pick value charts, this comes out slightly in our favor, which makes sense, right? It should, because the Titans are the team that is trading up. The Titans are the team that is coveting QBX, whichever QB is still there, or QBs, I guess. But the Titans are the team trading up for the quarterback. They're the one who have to give up a little bit more. So, round 1, pick 11, 3rd round pick, middling 3rd round pick, and a future first, which, by the way, I think that future first is pretty nice. The Titans might be bad this year. The Titans seem like they're trying to blow it up. The Titans seem like they're trying to move on from some of their more expensive veteran assets. They don't have a quarterback. It seems like there's a vested interest on their part to bring in a rookie who might be good that first year, might not even play, by the way. They could bring in Jacoby Brissett to play for a year. So that future first round pick, I think, would be pretty good. Normally, I wouldn't advocate for trying to sell our lottery ticket for more lottery tickets, but in this case, I think the lottery ticket's actually pretty juicy. So, trading down from 5 to 11, picking up a future first and a 3rd round pick in the process. Wouldn't shock me if you could get a little more, but I'm going to go with this for now. And then at number 11, I'm picking up Combine superstar Kalija. I'll get it right if we draft him, okay? I'll figure out how to pronounce it if we draft him. I think it's Kalija Cansey, defensive lineman from Pittsburgh, freako athlete, maybe the next Aaron Donald. Probably not, but in that same ballpark. Cansey is an absolute physical freak. He's got good size enough to play on the defensive line, but he's got edge-like attributes. So Cansey is the 1st round pick. A lot of creativity around how you can probably utilize him because he's such a great athlete for his size. You will definitely find a way to put him on that defensive line and find a way to get good stuff out of him one way or the other, I think. And if this seems a little bit high, I don't think it will be by the time we get to the draft. Let me put it that way. So Cansey's my first pick in the first round. My second first round pick is Trenton Simpson, linebacker from Clemson. With us getting Cansey with our first pick, and with us having additional draft capital, I feel a little more safe going for the blue chip linebacker in this class. Trenton Simpson, freak athlete, showed up at the combine 10 pounds heavier, didn't really lose any speed for it, it seems like. And he also bench pressed heavily, so he had a great combine, I think. I'm impressed. I would love to get him in the number 20 overall pick. I think this is a great start for the new defense, the new look defense. And hey, the fact that we managed to get a guy who has the blue chip all-pro potential of Cansey after trading down, I'll live with the downside. Okay, round 2. We are moving along here to Mazi Smith, the nose tackle from Michigan. Had a really nice combine, killed the bench press, impressed me more than Ika did, and I've liked Ika generally speaking, and I still do. I'm not ruling it out, but Mazi Smith, I think, had a better combine, and this is the immediate post-combine mock, so I think that's going to be reflected here. I think Mazi Smith is going to move up draft boards after the combine that he had, and I think that he's going to be an early to mid-second round pick. I have us picking him up at 37, and feeling pretty good about the way we are beefing up our defensive line, which desperately needs it. We're now talking about Cansey and Smith probably immediately starting on this defensive line and being a big improvement over what we had before. Later in the second round, I have us taking another combine super freak, Adetomiwa Adebawore. I don't know what Adebawore is going to be in the NFL. He's probably going to be a lot of things. He has the size of a defensive lineman, like a 3 tech or maybe a 3-4 end, or maybe a 5 tech, but he has the physical attributes of an edge rusher. So odds are good he's going to become like an all-around freaky athlete. He could be, maybe he does like Micah Parsons stuff. I don't know. I guess that's possible, right? Like he's small, so he's got that going for him, but he's also got the freaky athletic ability. Like maybe there's a little bit of Micah Parsons in his future. I don't know. Maybe he plays 3 tech, 5 tech, edge, Leo. I don't know what he does, but I kind of want to be a part of it. Really, really impressive combine. One of the most impressive combines of anybody. So Adebawore, I know that he might be a combine warrior, but I was so impressed with what he put on display. And it's not like he was a bad prospect before. So that's pretty much loading up on your defense with those first 4 picks. I don't think anybody would be too upset with the idea of us trying to make this defense work. So Cansey, Simpson, Smith, Adebawore, sign me up. And we're moving on to round 3 here, and we have our additional third-round pick from the Titans in that trade going to Luke Whippler, center for OSU. We need a center. Whippler might be the second best center in this draft. I don't know if he is, but he's in the conversation, and you can get him in the middle of the 3rd round instead of spending what will probably be an early 2nd-round pick on Schmitz. Maybe you could get away with Schmitz at 51, but you're definitely not getting him at 72. So we're saving a little bit of the draft capital and getting a guy who had a good combine, is a good player in college, all around really interesting prospect, not a super athlete, not a super duper star, but he's plenty good enough in all the right areas. So Whippler probably becomes our day 1 starting center and very, very easily is going to be an upgrade. Okay, moving along, we have round 3, pick 83. I don't know if he's going to be there. This is a cross my fingers that the injury kills his draft stock, which, hey, that happens. That happens all the time. This dude tore his ACL right at the end of the season. That's a big deal. So Hendon Hooker, quarterback of the Tennessee Volunteers, if he slips down to 83, I think I'm jumping on it. People are going to say, oh, he's not a guy who's going to help you immediately. I know, but we need a backup quarterback. Geno's the veteran, so it's a good idea to have your backup quarterback be a young guy, if that's the case, somebody who you see as an up-and-comer. And Hendon Hooker is, to me, one of only 2 quarterbacks in this draft after the first tier who I see potentially becoming a franchise quarterback in the future. Him and, well, okay, I don't even want to say franchise quarterback. I want to say a quarterback that I like. It's Hendon Hooker, and then it's DTR, and then I don't know who else. So if you want a backup quarterback or a project quarterback in this draft, Hendon Hooker is one of your last chances, unless you really like DTR, which I like him, but that's more a practice squad project maybe. Hendon Hooker is a rostered project. So if you can get him at 83, I'm all over it. Round 4, pick 121. I'm going with my Chris Carson 2.0, Roschon Johnson, running back from Texas. Good combine, not an amazing combine, but I do think he moved up a little bit. And look, he doesn't need to be the most amazing athlete. He just needs to be good enough to complement his size and power. And I do think he showed enough of that. So Roschon Johnson becomes our power back, our short yardage back. He's not just a power back, by the way. His speed is not, I think he's faster than Chris Carson ever was. Maybe by a little bit. He's probably more explosive. He has better acceleration than Chris Carson ever did at the very least. And also seems like he can be a pretty decent pass catcher as well. So, yeah, Roschon Johnson becomes one of my chief backup running backs. And that takes us to round 5, where I'm taking a guy that we actually interviewed with at the Combine. Somebody who had a pretty good Combine, but probably won't launch himself into the top of any draft boards. It's Michael Wilson, the wide receiver from Stanford. Good size, good blocker. Reasonable production given who he was playing with at Stanford. Not great quarterbacks over there these days, it seems like. And somebody who will probably fill out the roster effectively. We like receivers that can block. Michael Wilson seems like he can block. And he's got good functional strength. He's somebody who can probably go up and get it. So Michael Wilson in the 5th round, I think would be really nice. I'm not looking to get him much higher than that, but I'm pretty happy to get him in round number 5 here at 151. All right, we are coming to the end of the mock here. Round 5, pick 154. I have another nose tackle because, in my estimation, we won't have much of a nose tackle presence going into the draft. There's not a whole lot you can do in free agency other than the big swings. And Coburn is another bigger guy who had a pretty good career at Texas. And I think that you need to look at this draft as we need to get 2 nose tackles in here. Al Woods, probably going to be let go for salary cap purposes, I think, especially because of his age. Monet, even if you keep Monet, I don't think he's going to be ready for the season. So you need more than one guy. And Coburn, I think, would be as good a candidate as any. Good value in the 5th round. I would be happy to bring him along here. And that gives us our round 6 pick. I got another interior offensive lineman. This guy is going to be a backup center and guard. Alex Forsyth. Pretty good athlete for somebody who plays interior offensive line. Not over the top, but solid. Obviously, he was part of a really nice Oregon offensive line. I've grown to like him more than I liked TJ Bass, who I thought had a not very good combine overall. So Forsyth, to me, is the Oregon interior offensive lineman that you want. If we don't bring in another center after Whippler, he becomes the backup. He can also be a reserve for the guard spots. We're probably going to need to bring in some backup type guards in free agency, but he can be around for that purpose as well. So that helps with your depth. And final pick, round 7. I don't know if his good combine is going to launch him up higher than this, but right now he's projected to be a round 7 guy. Bryce Ford Wheaton, wide receiver from WVU. Maybe, like I said, it's possible that his combine puts him up into the stratosphere. When I say stratosphere, I mean maybe he goes in the 4th or 5th round instead. But, I mean, DK Metcalf had an amazing combine, and it didn't really help him in the draft, did it? Because he didn't produce in college. Bryce Ford Wheaton didn't really produce in college, so who knows? I think it's at least possible he ends up being a borderline 7th round type of guy. And right now, that's where he's ranked on most of the sites that I use. All right. So that is my mock draft. We trade down. We get a future first. Keep this in mind, guys. When you're looking at this draft, remember, next year we have an additional first-round pick now. And I don't feel like we've lost out terribly. To me, if you're going to pass on Carter because of character concerns and Will Anderson's not there and you don't want to take a quarterback, to me the difference between Cansey at 11 and, I don't know, Tyree Wilson at 5 is kind of negligible. And I like Tyree Wilson a lot. But Cansey might have more upside than Wilson. So I don't think we've lost a whole lot trading down, and we picked up that first-round pick. Sign me up for that. All right, see you guys later. Let me know what you think down below. Go Hawks.